So today I decided to play a game called Frigid. It is a game where you survive the frigid weather. This game did open up with a cutscene, but really not a whole lot was explained other than my character doesn't know how to drive because you got in a wreck. But anyway, aside from that, I ended up, of course, out stranded in the rigid snow. It's negative 37 degrees, and I'm freezing. I need to find shelter. So before I do, I go through my car to see I'll go through my car to see what's left that I can bring with me, which ends up being a first aid kit and a jacket, and also, sorry that my head was in the way of all of the important vitals. I didn't really think of that until it was too late, so, oops. I continued down the road and found, before too long, I found a fucking shelter with a campfire in it already. I mean, that was pretty convenient, I guess. But, you know, it helps. I lit that sucker up and got warm, and then I continued on, and I found a little cabin. Inside the cabin, I didn't really find a whole lot. The fireplace was screwed up, and I ended up stealing a bunch of pillows, blankets, and the curtains, and I also found a notice for an evacuation that the animals are going a little crazy. After that, I went back onto the road and continued forward, and I found a blockade of trees that had fallen down, so I had to craft an axe to cut my way through. And at this point, I was running out of heat, so before I continued on forward, not knowing what was there, I decided to head back to the shelter to get warmed up again by the campfire, and then round my way back to where the blockade was. Continuing forward, I found yet another cabin. Oh, this one had no power, so it was dark and spooky, but luckily there was a flashlight there. It just had limited charge, supposedly. I went in, I found some cool stuff like a sleeping bag and a perfectly good fireplace, which was the plan to stay there the night, you know? But before I did, I was looking around the house, and I went upstairs, and I found 2 dead bodies with a note next to them that said that they got bit by a squirrel, and it made them feel sick, and I mean, they look awful. Any sane person would. I just completely ignored the bodies and lit up the campfire and snuggled in my little sleeping bag and just, you know, went to bed. When the next morning came around, I went back out and encountered my first enemies. Oh, Jesus, which were a couple wolves. You were supposed to sneak past them, but I wasn't very good at that. One caught me, and I had to fight it, and then I found out it didn't really do a whole lot of damage to me, so I just decided to fight the other one too. And it's a good thing I did, because in the shed, I found a battery, which I would need later in the story anyway. Remember that battery that I was talking about that I picked up like half a second ago? Yeah, it came into play right here. It had to help move this move this piece of equipment out of the way so I can continue forward, but before I did that, I went into yet another cabin to find more loot. I didn't really find too much of interest in this cabin, but I did find a gun and a flare gun, which were both pretty cool. After leaving, I came across a couple more wolves that I fight off, another dead body inside a car, this time at a gas station, and I had to craft a shovel to unbury a door that was covered with snow, and what was yet another cabin. There really wasn't much in this cabin either. There was a little note that advanced the story, kinda, sorta. That didn't tell me anything that I didn't already know. And then there was also a workbench that required me to build a bunch of different items for a motor to put on the end of a boat. And then I went outside to go look for that stuff, and I found something. I saw something pretty cool. You know, looking back on this while I'm editing it, it's kind of funny, like, just living life, and then you just kind of forget to look up sometimes, and then you look up, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm fucking kind of, sort of insignificant to some degree, but not necessarily. I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. It's just like, the world is fucking way more than what we just live day to day. Nothing too exciting really happened after this, just finding a bunch of items. I did find another warehouse, which I got most of the items for the boat, and then I found a frozen lake, which gave you the option of building a base, but I chose not to because it's, you know, it's a demo. I don't want to spend all that extra time if I don't have to. And then I found a police car, and then things started to get a little interesting. Oh. Metal pipe! Gun! Fire! A little bit of everything. Yeah, I started hearing strange noises, saw a weird looking animal, found a radio, somebody trying to reach out to me, and then like a random fucking jump scare happened out of nowhere. And I found the last part that I needed, which was the metal pipe for the boat motor, and I found a cool gun. After that I went back out, because the last thing I needed to do was finish building that motor and then put it on the boat, and I could head on to whatever was next. After slaying that bear, I slapped that motor on the boat, and that was the end of the demo. I officially survived, but again, it's just the demo. So whenever this game comes out, I found out two things. It's co-op, which is cool, and it has a VR version, which is cool. So whenever it actually comes out, I will definitely get back into it. I think I would rather try the VR, and it'd be cool to have somebody to play with if I could find somebody to co-op with. But you know, that's for the future. Until now, we're just going to celebrate the fact that I beat the demo and I survived the frigid cold. Hell yeah. At least for now.